Hey, what's going on, everybody? Can already see a full house in the chat. We got Steve, we got HVAC blogger, we got Rich in kitchens, uh, Kraus, Jason, Eddie. I saw Jen in here earlier. What's up, everybody? Alex, Eddie. Yeah, so welcome to the Reliable HVACR live stream slash podcast. If you can't stay for the whole show, remember you can watch it later. If you can't watch the whole video, it gets uploaded as a podcast the next day. So available on all podcast platforms. And today we have a special guest. We have an award winner, I think multiple awards in the house. So let me bring on Pat from Commercial Kitchen Chronicles. What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Not much. Pretty long day here. How was yours?
Really long. Really long. I've been punishing myself by getting up at 4 a.m. to work out,
Oh yeah.
and today I decided I want to punish myself even more and got up at three o'clock. So it's dragging.
Dang. I've been trying to get into that too, but I'll wait a few more. I'll wait another week. I'll get back into that workout soon. We got Brett in here too. What's up, man?
Yeah, there's a bunch of cool people in here, man.
Got a
Kraus, Brett,
nice
blogger.
crowd. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. So so what do you I know you do kitchen work, but you also do training and other things for your company. Well, let me start off by saying, introduce yourself, let people know, what part of the field you're in, what you got going on and all that stuff.
So my name is Pat Finley. I run some social media and a podcast called Commercial Kitchen Chronicles. I live just north of Indianapolis, Indiana. I've been a commercial food service repair tech for a little over 17 years. I do it all. I do cooking, I do refrigeration, I do HVAC, dish machines, disposals, ice machines. I like to say if it's in a kitchen, I can fix it, man.
Yeah.
Um, I train for some manufacturer lines that we rep, Frymaster fryers, Garland clamshell grills. So those crazy grills. Have you ever been in the backside of McDonald's that close down and cook on both sides?
Mhm.
I love those things. Work on them about every day. Worked on one today. Got one first thing tomorrow. And then I also teach refrigeration for Cefesa. So that's a beginner's refrigeration course. And then Cefesa is the Commercial Food Equipment Service Association, and
Mhm.
it's just like a sanctioning body that does training and stuff. And it's just like they set the standard for kind of what my side of the industry is, the cooking and that kind of stuff. So I teach basic refrigeration for them and hang out with family. It's about all I do, man.
Yeah, when you have some free time, right? Cuz I feel like you got a lot on your plate there.
Yeah. I'm one of those guys that when I started in this field, I made little money. Um, it's great for the guys now because the guys starting now are making like double zero experience than what I made, 17 years ago. It's amazing. But
Of course.
I had a lot of poor decisions, had kids young, bought a house I shouldn't have bought. And I had to work that overtime. And I got addicted to that overtime. And then 17 years later, I still love that overtime. I just have expensive toys now. So I just do dumb stuff.
Yeah, so like I was saying, you do kitchen work mostly, right? So you
Mhm.
do like service work and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I do service and install on a
Okay.
kitchen. We do a little bit of HVAC. We do some rooftop package units for a couple of customers. Not a whole lot, but I've done some change outs, some heat exchangers, some coils, compressors, and stuff. But I do a lot of refrigeration, in the kitchen, walk-ins, reach-ins, that kind of stuff.
I guess you're kind of like us because my dad started our business as a commercial kitchen equipment,
Hmm.
only repairs, installs, stuff like that on that side. And then we added refrigeration when I came in, but we do HVAC, but it's like just because they want us to, not really like my forte, I guess. I prefer refrigeration on my part. And
Hmm.
then of course our right now the kitchen work has been like killing it. Like the calls have been coming in like crazy. Like that's more than half of what we're doing right now. Um, I don't know. Like I don't know if there's a lot of good techs out there, honestly, on that side, because we get um like my dad gets called out to go 4 hours away, 5 hours away, 6 hours
Hmm.
away, because they're like begging him to go out there for the kitchen
Hmm.
equipment.
Yeah. A good kitchen guy is, I mean, it's like all the other trades. It's hard to find someone that really is passionate and cares about it. I mean, there's a lot of guys that just throw parts of stuff and then that gives a bad, name. Just like we've all heard the parts cannon for refrigeration, HVAC guys. It's the same for the kitchen side. There's guys, pilots out, they're just going to replace the pilot, the thermocouple, or the thermopile, whatever it has, the gas valve. They just throw parts at it. And hopefully, one of the parts fixes it. And, so I mean, a lot of guys got a bad name. So you gotta, if you're good at what you do, you can make a lot of money doing this, man.
Yeah, I know. I need to pick my dad's brain a little bit more because I've done that. I used to be like a helper.
Hmm.
I was just like a parts changer for them. They're like, here, go change a thermopile, pilot,
Hmm.
burners, things like that. Clean this out, clean that out. I've worked on dishwashers, things like that, but not actually like troubleshooting them and
Hmm.
diagnosing them. But I've had my hands in those, and it's definitely like when people ask me about getting into. I mean, for me, it's refrigeration, but getting into
Hmm.
kitchen work, refrigeration, even HVAC, it's a big necessity, right? Like kitchens are not going to close, restaurants are not going to close. There's always going to be a need for freezers and coolers for product,
Hmm.
and it's a good business to get into. If like people, I get that question a lot, like should I start this or should I start that? And I think this is one of those trades that will never go out, whether it's refrigeration or kitchen work. Restaurants stayed open.
Hmm.
Even us through the whole pandemic, it slowed down a little bit and then it just picked right back up.
Yeah, where I work at, like when COVID hit, they said they laid off like 50%. So the bottom 50% of like, and they just did it by longevity. That was the easiest way they did it. So it didn't matter if you were good or bad. If you're below
Hmm.
that 50%, you were gone. And they were like, okay, we're gonna make sure you guys get 35 hours a week. Dude, I came out like the first 2 months was making like 65, 70 hours a week, you know.
Yeah.
And finally, some at corporate seen what I was doing. They're like, you can't let him do this. Like, we just let go, three guys from your branch, and this guy's out here cranking out more hours he's ever cranked out. And they're like, well, he's running the calls, and the customers want it, and the other guys don't care. So, I mean, I never slowed down. I mean, the branch did a little bit, but just some of the guys just didn't want to work.
Yeah, sure. And it happens, but
Hmm.
yeah, we've had those customers that, and then on the HVAC side, on the refrigeration, kitchen, hot side, if if you do your job well, you get enough work, but you can
Hmm.
also just find work,
Oh,
walking into a kitchen, like everything is needs something, right?
yep.
So just keep your eyes open and ears out for, just looking around. The equipment might need maintenance. That's a
Hmm.
big thing for us is maintenance. I don't know if you guys do a lot of maintenance on kitchen,
Hmm.
hot side.
We used to. It's just customer driven. Right
Yeah.
now, we don't really have the technician bandwidth to push that a lot, but we used to do it. There's some product lines we still do it on. But like you said, if you're in a kitchen, man, I'm waiting on a cooler to come down temperature. I'm working on a fryer waiting on to come down temperature, and I hear a
Hmm.
noisy condenser fan, or I see a door that won't close on a cooler, or I see a gasket hanging. Dude, you can look around for 5 minutes while something's heating up or cooling down, and you can find 4, 5, 6 calls easy. And that's what makes people valuable. If you point out to that customer, hey, you get this bad gasket, I can order it for you, I can ship it to you, or I can come in and put it in, whatever you want to do, and just point out the stuff. Hey, this is going to cause an issue if you don't take care of it, and, and the customer is going to be happy about that. You're catching it before it becomes a major issue to them,
Oh yeah.
and you're saving them some money. So,
Yeah, like on a hot side, I do the invoicing, so I just get to see what goes on, and
yeah.
I can read through them, and it's like gaskets. We do a lot of gaskets, a lot of
Hmm.
cleanings,
Hmm.
just stuff that keeps us busy. Now, that equipment does go down, like filter machines on the
Hmm.
fryers,
Yeah.
all that stuff gunks up real bad, and they break things here and there. Like there's so many calls that you can generate just by looking out, and you don't want to break anything on purpose because I've had that
Yeah.
issue with some texts. I'm like, no, we don't do that. But just look around, talk to the managers, be like, hey, you got this going on here, this going on there,
Hmm.
and it's a good business to be in.
Oh man, I carry like the little sink cartridges for the hand washing sink or like for the dish washing
Oh
sinks.
yeah, we do a lot of those too.
Like you walk by, one's leaking. I'm like, man, I got that on my truck. I could throw that in here in like 5 minutes, stop that wire leak. And I go, how much is it? Like, oh, it's $35 for a cartridge. I can just throw
Hmm.
it on this call. Oh, go ahead and do it. I mean, like it's like all day long, dude. It's you're only as slow as you want to be. It seems like.
Yeah, and you're bringing up like the truck stock. The thing is, I used to get so annoyed when I had guys that would have to go out for everything, right? They're like
Mhm,
leaving the job site. Oh, I didn't have this. Oh, I didn't have that. I'm like, dude, please keep your truck stocked with common parts. I
mhm,
do it. I need you to do it. You get these
mhm.
calls knocked out, and you go on to the next one. If something unexpected comes up, you have that on your van. So I'm big on truck stock. Like I need these guys to have everything, that's common. uh, I carry a lot of universal parts just in case, and then
Mhm.
it gets them by or whatever. And like you said, you can if you have it on the van, it'll make you money.
Yeah, yeah. So we're big on we do a lot of ton of warranty work. So we have like they call it a first time fix program. So like we're dedicated to different product lines. So a lot of times there's like we deal with like 4 or 5 main combi lines. Well, I'm the dedicated tech for 2 of them. There's no guy's dedicated tech for another one, and then so on. So the problem rises with that is so if I'm working on I'm somewhere and they have an oven that's not I don't rep that product line, so I can look at it because I'm certified to work on it, but
Hmm.
um, like a lot of times I won't create a call till I know what's wrong. If I can diagnose it fairly quick, and then I'll either create the call and have the shop bring me the part, or I'll go pick the part up, come back. But I try to eliminate like some of those issues. It's just we work on so much stuff. Man, I could literally have a semi, and then I just still have to order parts.
Yeah, it's like my dad. Like when you brought up the faucets and stuff, he does all that stuff. Like when he
Hmm.
started the business, he was like, anything in the kitchen, I'll fix it.
Yep.
Anything with the water, hoses, faucets, sprayers, all the different things. Because we do a lot of hospital work, so there's a
Hmm.
there's a bunch of different things in there too. And like, and then he wanted refrigeration, so that's why I came in and did that.
Hmm.
So we try to take care of everything in the kitchen. And like Jennifer here is my commercial customers don't even ask. They look at me like, why haven't you fixed it? That's how it used to be for us, especially at the hospital. They were like, don't even ask, just fix it,
Yeah.
fix it. But nowadays it's a little different. We
Yep.
have a lot of NTEs, budgets,
Mhm.
things like that. Do you deal with that too?
Yeah, so we have chain accounts. I literally have a chain account that has a $250 NTE. I was like, I
Oh,
can't show up at your
dude.
I can't even show up at your door for $250. As soon as I get there, I'm like, I'm over your 250. And so anytime I do anything for that customer, it's like I'm there 15 minutes. So I'm like, hopefully I get it figured out fairly fast, and then it's a guaranteed estimate. It's just dumb, but I got some
Yeah.
customers that have 500, 750. It just depends on each customer. I mean, in some you can log into an app and you can explain why and they'll update it, or some you got to call in, or some you can't even do. You just got to write the estimate, and the office has to deal with it on their end. And I've got there's a supply company that's dealing with all these nursing homes around here recently, and like they have like a $500 NTE, and they'll call on overtime, but they won't tell you who the customer is. They just ask if you're willing to run this call, and then they won't tell you, like they'll say it's an oven, but they won't tell you manufacturer. They won't tell you who the customer location is until you agree to run it. I just decline them every time, every week. I'm like, I'm not dealing with you guys. I'm like, no, I'm not going to run it. Decline. My boss is like, why are you declining that? I was like, I'm not fighting with these guys for 20 minutes for a $500 NTE on something that's 2 hours away. I said, does that make sense? He's like, no, good call.
Yeah, man, 250. I've never heard of that. I think they tried to do that to us one time, but like I think our lowest one is like 500.
It's a huge chain. I mean, they make tacos if you know what I
It's
mean.
Yeah, isn't it always like the bigger the chain, the
Dude,
worse it is with the billing
huge.
department?
It's great. Yeah, it drives me nuts, man. It's just like I'll have the part on my truck. I'm like, dude,
Oh yeah.
I, do you want me to do this? Well, it's because you got bumped into E, and I'm like, I said, you got 5 minutes, dude. And so I'm
Yeah.
leaving, and then it's gonna cost you, another $250 to get me back here, plus the part and labor. Just go ahead and do it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like one time I think they had us doing a quote for everything, even if I was
Yep.
there. And like, no, we need a written out quote. I'm like, well, I'm gonna give you the quote. It's not gonna get approved right now. Nobody's gonna answer you. I'm gonna leave. It's gonna cost more to come back. Like I'm gonna have to charge you 2 trips now. So like, I don't know. I don't get. And it's usually the bigger chains, and I
Hmm.
have that issue too. It's crazy.
It's I find it more with like the third party services that do it. And the bad thing is like the end customer doesn't know what you charge. So you're telling that third party service what you're going to charge. And then they're either marking it up, or I don't know what's going on before it gets back to that customer. So you give it to the third party, and then the third party gives it back to the customer. Then the customer has to prove it to a third party. and then they give it back to you. And it's just like, I don't get it, man. I know why these companies do it, because it's easier for them to have someone else manage it. But I think a lot of times they're probably getting the shafts and they don't even know it.
Yeah, I don't think we have that yet, or we've run into that, because we deal with like, and this is what I tell people. I'm like, when I do my videos or anything I post, I'm like, I have to get approval. I have to do all these little things. Like they had us checking in through the phone at one point. Now we have an app to check in, and then like a website, like all this hoops. And then one of ours that buys their own equipment actually hired an HVAC guy, or I guess an ex HVAC guy, to run it, but he didn't work on anything. He was just there, I guess, to make sure that we were ordering the right parts, and then to buy it under the company name, the restaurant's name, and stuff like that. But even then, even that, though they had an HVAC guy, there was a lot of hiccups. There was a lot of miscommunications.
Yeah, it can be a pain in the butt.
They make it more complicated than what it has to be.
Yeah, I've got some. They make us use an app, and then like some of the locations, it says it's like 2 miles away, and I'm in the parking lot, and it won't let me clock in because I'm outside of range. I'm like, dude, I'm staring at the building.
Yeah, I have one that I have to do for maintenance, and it's like they want a picture, like a before and after picture of the cleaning. I'm like, I've already cleaned it so many times. I mean, it doesn't look any different, but it makes me take the picture in the app. I can't upload a photo.
Oh.
So then if I freaking forget, I'm like, damn it. And I'm like, sometimes I have pictures. I'll take pictures of nameplates and compressors, and I have tons of pictures. I just can't upload them. Dude. So then I'm there. Like sometimes I don't want to get back on the roof because I have the ladder, already
take a picture of your tablet or your phone, your tablet. Yep, I've done that. I've done that. I'm like, oh, just make sure I don't have the outline of the tablet in the picture. Just make sure you can only see the coil or something. Yep, I've been there.
Man. I've tried to do so many things. I'm like, I'm not getting back up there or anything, and I don't know. They make it more difficult than it has to be.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it going away anytime soon. It's just a pain in the butt, unfortunately.
I think that's what happens also. Like around here, I know it's happened because they get screwed before. And there's all these companies that give us a bad name.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, we want proof of what you did, or proof that you were here at that time, and this and that. And it's just like, man, these companies get away with a lot. And then if they do get caught, it trickles down to like the next company that comes in. So there's that too.
Yeah, we become a society where they don't punish people that actually do the things. They punish everybody, unfortunately.
Which I don't get, because I'm like, and they tell us, no, we paid them. I'm like, why did you pay them? Like, you should have made sure that it was working or whatever, because we have to wait to get paid anyway. I'm like, how did you send the payment out? But they get paid, and then they get away with it, and they never answer the phone, if something's wrong. All the time. Yeah, like here, Jay, never heard about having to use an app to prove work being completed from the customer. It happens to me a lot. They even had me one time at the hospital that I work at. I guess the vendors were taking advantage of the time, adding extra hours or whatever. I had to go in there physically on the little sheet of paper and like write my name, sign in and out, put the exact time. And it's like it was a waste of paper, because then imagine all the vendors that are in the hospital signing that sheet. The thing would fill up, and I'd be like trying to squeeze my name in at the bottom or whatever.
I had a hospital that was recently built, and we had to go every time we came in. We had to go to maintenance and get an RFID badge, because all the doors were locked, even to get into the kitchen, to get into back areas of like the prep areas and stuff all over the hospital. So you had an RFID badge, and it was tracking your time by that, because you had to turn that badge in to leave. You had to scan in the room to get to turn the badge in. So they were just tracking all your time by that. You had to write your badge number down. It got to the point where they gave us our own badge. We had a badge with our picture on it. We just turned it in when you left.
I have one at ours. They give us a badge to get in and stuff. It used to be like whatever. I had access to like basically the whole hospital. They didn't care back then. And then they started restricting. And then now like it stopped working. So then I told the guy, I'm like, this is ridiculous. I have to call somebody every time, to get in and out. And I got to go through several doors to get to the kitchen. And it was becoming a nuisance. And finally he gave me I don't know. He gave me one that works whenever I wanted to, and it doesn't have a name on it, but it works. So
nice.
I get in and out, because like it was stupid, because the walk-in coolers and freezers have the condensers outside. and I'm trying to like do something outside and then go in and check the unit, and I'm like, I don't have a damn badge.
This hospital, they did everything. They were all on top of the boxes, but everything was tied into the chiller loop, and it was just an absolute nightmare. So they
Oh
used
dang.
chilled water to connect for the condensing units, and it was just terrible.
Yeah, we keep it separate. Like we don't do like at the hospital they call somebody for the chiller work.
Hmm.
We don't do that. And then we used to do all the floors, which was all the hazardous stuff. The morgue and all that. We decided not to do that. We're strictly a kitchen company,
Hmm.
so we kind of did that, and they kept us. We've been there for over 15 years,
We
and
don't.
we just stick to the kitchen.
We just do the kitchen side, but it was just weird that they used the chilled water loop for the condensing units. I was just surprised to see that. I mean,
Yeah, I
I
don't
get,
think I've seen that.
yeah, it was a nightmare. So they had like a little they had like a little garden and a water fountain area, and they had like a little bistro out there, and it literally had like a 6 by, I don't know, 14-inch opening to climb up in there and get on top. And I was like, they always send me out there for the cooler being down. I'm like, stop sending me out here for this cooler to be down. I was like, I'm not fitting up in that hole. I was like, we've got one guy that can fit up there. He doesn't even work anymore. So we don't even do that work anymore, luckily. But
Yeah, blogger is saying to. I hope you guys are using the door jam. I've never tried it. They did tell me that it works on like the magnet part,
mhm.
but I haven't tried it. I don't know if you have.
I haven't tried it on the magnet part. I use it all the time ever since I get it. I do it just to be a smart aleck on my boss's door all the time because he always likes closing his door. So I put it on there so I can just bust it open.
Yeah, I have a few of them now.
Yeah, I do too from the bags, man. I love them. I give them to the new guys, especially the guys that have to do the roof stuff, man. If you got to go through an access to get on the roof door, if you've never been locked on a roof, that sucks.
oh, I know. It's a simple product, but it works really well.
Yeah, I was on top of a mall, the downtown Indy, and it was like 5 stories up. There's a normal door access to get out, and I had the door propped open, and someone seen the door propped open and they closed it. And it was in the spring, dude, and a big old thunderstorm rolled in, dude. I was literally crawled inside like the big Linux V coils. How you got the opening inside? I was like, I crawled in there to try to stay dry because dude, it was
Oh,
the worst
dang.
rain I'd seen in forever, dude. I was so mad. I was locked up there. I was trying to call someone to come let me out. It's just
Uh,
never again, man. Door jam stays on my bag.
yeah, I started using it more. I don't have too many roof access that will lock behind me like
Hmm.
that because most of them are inside and they're in the restaurant.
Yeah.
But getting locked out in a large strip mall where I have to drive around. I have some that are like
Hmm.
super awkward and I have to drive around to get back inside. Like that thing, saves a day. We got Rich here. Spent over an extra hour in a food plant because the facility director made me check out with him in person, but he was in a meeting. Man, they ask
Yeah.
us. Yeah, they ask for weird things sometimes.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, whatever they want. I mean, they just got another paying the bill.
Yeah, I was about to say it's all billable
Yep.
time. Charge it, whatever.
Yep. I mean, for if that's what you want, I mean, you're going to have to either come out of the meeting or just accept the fact that you're going to pay me to wait.
Yeah, man. So, we all went to the HR. We all went to the HVAC Tactical Award show. And for the guys that did not know, the guys listening or watching, you won for, I believe, best content or social content, right?
Yep. Yep. That was totally unexpected and crazy. Um,
So Ben,
so,
like Ben doesn't tell you anything, right?
well, he asked me like a couple weeks before, he's like, do you go by Pat or Patrick? And I was like, well, I go by Pat. He was like, okay. I was like, cool. I was like, well, maybe he's, my name badge or something,
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
And he was like, well, you're nominated. He's like, I know I don't tell people I won't tell you that. And I was like, well, what category? And he's like, I'm not telling you that. I was like, okay. And then I was like, well, who am I sitting with? He's like, I'm not telling you that. I was like, because, in Vegas, dude, like I totally fanboyed out, dude. I sat down and like all of a sudden Eric Ani and Andy Mickelson sit down at my table and I was like, holy shit. It's,
Yeah.
it's Make Trades Great Again, guys, and I've been following those guys forever. And then, I sat down at the table and like we talked and became friends. It was the weirdest things. I was like, okay, who do I get to see this year? And I sat down and Matt was sitting with me, Matt Waxer, the HEC doctor, and then kind
hmm
of find out Vader sitting, right there. But I'd never seen him without his mask on, so I didn't know what he looked like.
Yeah, that's the thing when you go over there, man.
some of these guys never show their face, and I told him, I was like, dude, you gotta start showing your face some. So now in some of his videos, he is showing his face a little bit. So it
um,
was cool.
yeah, I saw the table. Weren't you with like? Were you with Chris too in that table, or was it
No,
that the other one?
he was at the other one. Nope, I didn't
Oh,
get
okay.
his table. I had Matt, Vader, and so there's some rep guys there. They're pretty cool. They're like the best picture of the entire night is like I'm walking up and there's a guy in the back just like jumping and throwing his arms up in the air. It's like one of the rep guys that's at my table. He was
Oh,
like absolutely wasted, dude, and he was like jumping and screaming. I was like, "This is great."
oh, I missed that.
It's floating around there. You'll see it. It's on the tactical HVAC tactical website. It's one of their pictures,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's like you see him in the background. He's kind of blurred out, but you can just see him like jumping up and throwing his arms in the air. I was like, this is so weird. I was like, I have no
Wow,
idea who that guy is, but he was excited for me. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I had a bunch of guys at my table too. I had Angel HVAC boss, who was,
yeah,
he's always
nuts. He's always on.
he's always on something. But um, I even had that guy, and I need to have him on here. Is Jeffy Pipes? I think is his name. Have you seen that guy?
Yeah, he's one of the visionaries, isn't he?
Yeah, he won, I think, the Hidden Gem Award. He was actually
Yeah,
at my table.
was he?
I didn't get to talk to him, but he moved to another table, I guess, with his buddies and stuff, and then he ended up winning that award too. So,
Yeah, he. I've seen his stuff here lately, man. And those guys are killing it. That little group they got forming and going, man. So
yeah, they're doing awesome. I feel like after the award show, like it just, kicked things off, and people were
oh,
starting to
dude.
post a lot more.
That Thursday, dude, after AHR was over, like the content was like, where did this come from? It's like these guys are out of a vengeance. I'm glad I won it last year, and now I'm to compete with these guys
Oh
this
yeah.
year. But no, it was crazy. So that Saturday night, I hung out with Chris. Chris Stevens. We went out to dinner. We had some
Oh
drinks.
yeah.
We hung out, and he's a friend of mine. I mean, I've talked to him for years now, and he was up there doing that award, and I seen the other two guys' content come by, and I was like, okay, I was like, oh, Jamie's probably got it. Jamie has pretty good content, and all of a sudden, I seen the ice machine, and then that cooler door, and I was like, holy crap, that's my videos. And then he announced, they said my name, and I was like losing it. I was like, cool. I was like, I can't believe I got nominated with these guys, And then all of a sudden, Chris looks at me and looks at the paper, and looks at me again, and I was like, oh hell no. He said my name, dude, and I lost it. Like, that was like the longest walk and I was close. I was up, I was on the side, like
Oh
three
yeah.
rows back. It seemed like the longest walk of my entire life. It was cool. I didn't cry. I almost cried at Sefesta when I won there, and my wife didn't come. But luckily, my wife was there, so I made sure I thanked her for me playing on my phone for all hours of the night. When I'm sitting on the couch or watching TV.
Oh yeah.
It was cool, man.
Did you have like a speech set up and everything?
No, I had no
Or
idea. I'm not a
yeah,
speech person.
because like Ben doesn't even give you the heads up or anything. So-
No, he makes sure like if you're going to win, he makes sure that you're going.
Oh
You're
yeah.
going to be there, and that's about it. But you don't know why he's calling you, or you know, he tells you, "Oh, I'm just checking to make sure you're coming." See if we're going to be empty seats or anything. He plays it off pretty good, and
Oh, I
yeah,
know. He kept everything in the dark. Yeah.
got me for sure. So I mean, it was cool. If I got to give the award away next year, I'll make sure I have one hell of a speech next year. But it was cool, man. It was unexpected. I still don't know how I did it. Like I said, I tell everybody, I was like, the only thing I think I could do is I literally was cranking out content and I was putting it on every single platform. Like uh, it was on Trade Hounds, it was on HVAC
Oh
Know It All app, it was on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter,
yeah, man.
LinkedIn. I put it absolutely everywhere. I just didn't care, and I'd tag companies. I'd tag, if I was showing a tool, I was tagging that company. If I was showing some merch for like HVAC Tactile, I'll tag him. I'll tag everybody just to show them that I do use the stuff, and it worked out, man. I've had one hell of a year.
Man, congrats. But that's the thing that I tell people. Well, first of all, it's a lot of work to do
Mm-hmm.
the content creation.
Oh yeah, dude.
There's so many people that want to do it, and I'm all for it. But just understand, there's a lot of work. Like you said, you're posting everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is a way to do it. Kind of dip your toes into like every platform, see what pops off,
Mm-hmm.
what happens, what hits, and Man, it's a lot of work. So you're posting way more than I was because I wasn't. I think I'm gonna try LinkedIn. I'm gonna try. I was on HVAC Know It All. I haven't been on in a while, but uh, it's a lot of work to do all that.
Yeah, and then the thing is like, okay, this site you need to use this format, and I just post everything vertical. I
Yeah.
don't. I do. I'm terrible. It's all vertical, and I'm like, people are like, man, that looks like crap. I'm like, I don't care. It's like I'm only editing once. I'm not, Uh, I've talked to guys, and like some guys use two phones when they record. They have a holder. I've actually got one now because some of the stuff I do, like for training or like on bench test stuff, I'm recording both ways, so I can use
Oh,
a
okay.
vertical versus I don't know what it's called. I mean horizontal. It's called portrait, and I don't know whatever. But I actually record with two phones at the same time in this little rig thing I
Mm.
have, so I can talk. So it's the same speech on both of them. It's the same view, just that one's horizontal versus vertical. Um,
See, I was doing it the hard way. I was like doing two takes when I was trying to do like both
oh my
both
gosh.
platforms, and I'm like, I can't do this. So I don't know. I've thought about investing in like a GoPro or something that
Mhm.
does it because you can crop into it and stuff, or
Yeah,
it does it for you or something.
GoPro, you can do like a 4x3, and it works fine both ways, I guess. That's what
Yeah.
someone told me. I never tried it that way. I've got a personal phone and a work phone, so I just like do them both, and then I come home and I plug the work phone in the computer and take the videos off of it.
Well, yeah, it's so much easier. I prefer the phone too, and then the phone camera, like they get better every year, and you
Yeah,
get a really good camera out of it. So
I was trying to decide, the latest iPhone 14 Pro Max or the S23 Ultra, and the S23 Ultra won out just because my work phone's an Apple device, and so I have both. But that camera on the S23 Ultra is what did it for me. That thing is like the 10 times. Like I forget how many
oh
times you can
yeah.
actually zoom with it, but it stays clear. It's amazing. There's like if you look, there's like I think 5 cameras on the back of this thing. I mean,
Oh damn.
there's 5 cameras plus a flash.
Okay,
So
I've never had a Samsung Galaxy.
So this is the latest one, and the Ultra. So there's an S23, and I think it's like a 3, but the Ultra has like the 5, and it does like 8K or whatever. I mean, now you do YouTube, so you understand that like loading up like a 4K video is really pointless for what we do, and it's just a huge file, and most of the time YouTube's gonna just trash the quality anyways, and it's just weird.
Yeah, I did go to 4K on mine, but I
Hmm.
use an iPad, so like I just drop everything onto the iPad, and then I edit
Hmm.
on the iPad, and then I let it, I let it upload there or on the computer. Like
Hmm.
I will sit it down and upload it and leave. Like I don't do
Hmm.
it from my phone because it'll take forever.
Yep,
Um, but yeah, if I'm posting like to Instagram or anything else, it doesn't matter because the same thing there. The quality is like whatever.
it looks great, and then you go to watch it, you're like, did I record this on a potato?
Yeah.
People always comment that. Was that did you record it on potato? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, YouTube destroyed my quality. I recorded it in 4K. My marketing guy, my media guy for the company I work for, was always like, your files are huge. Quit recording in 4K. Record in this frame rate. This recording this quality, this frame rate, and everything else. He's like, your files are just too big. I was like, well, okay.
Yeah, like I used to care. I used to care about that. Like right now, like our stream, I think StreamYard is what like 720.
You can hit the 1080 button. You can actually there's a 1080 button when you log
But
in. I think you
do
can
you
hit it.
need the highest plan or is it in that middle plan?
I'm not sure. I'm terrible. I always buy the highest plan.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I think it's a high plan feature. I don't have it, but it
Mhm.
looks fine. So I'm not like
No, it
I
looks
don't
good.
I don't worry about it too much anymore. It's like Jennifer here. Don't buy the Galaxy Flip. I have it and it blows.
is that is that HVAC chicks Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. She was in my stream the other day, and I was like, that has to be her.
Yeah, she's everywhere. She's like I don't think she knew about all these shows and now she's tuning in. And it's honestly there's like a show every day now.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
It's plenty of entertainment, man. I canceled my cable. I mean,
oh, I don't watch cable anymore either.
I don't either.
I'm usually on YouTube. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
usually like on YouTube most of the time. Yeah, there's Chris does Mondays. I
Mhm.
snuck in and got the Tuesday. Um, Gil usually does Wednesdays, I believe. And you
Sometimes
do
Thursdays. Yep.
You
I
do
do
what day?
Thursdays. I do
Oh, okay.
Thursdays.
Thursdays, overtime's Friday. Ryan is now on Saturday. Rick, when he was doing his, I don't know if he's still gonna do it. Was on
Put one up.
Sunday.
He did one last week, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if he keeps them up though. I think he just does them and
And I think it takes him after a day because I think he says it hurts his views or whatever. Or I think it hurts I think it ties into like his overall views. So if he deletes it, it makes his views look better. I'm not sure how it works. I don't know.
oh,
He
okay.
explained it to me at AHR when I talked to him because he literally lives like 2 hours from me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to hang out with him quite a bit at the AHR, so he was a
Yeah, he's a
cool
cool
guy.
dude. He works on a lot of different stuff, man. He's like one day he's working on a generator video, the next day he's like a water source heat pump, and the next day it's like an old 80 furnace, or I'm like, and then it's an ice cream machine. I'm like, man, this guy's on everything.
Yeah, it's crazy, and he does supermarket now apparently too, because I've been watching his newest videos. So
Nice.
you said you also won another award. That I was going to ask you about that. The Cefesa. What was that one for?
So Sofesa's, like I said, it's Commercial Food Equipment Service Association. It's just like a sanctioning body. I teach refrigeration for them, but they have every year they have a conference, and every 2 years they do awards. And I was trying to go to the conference because I teach for them, and then I was starting the social media and the podcast stuff, and I was trying to talk to people there. And we were just too short staffed, so I wasn't going to get a go. And I knew about the awards, but I didn't know what categories anything of it was. I wasn't involved in it, so I didn't know. And then like 2 weeks before, like, hey, someone from PT Holdings backed out, and we want you to have the spot. I was like, sweet. So it was at downtown Nashville at the Omni, and I was in some big fancy suite. So they paid like an absorbent amount of money because they wait till the last minute to get me there. So I go, and it's like 3 days of classes, meetings. Um, there's just all different kinds of things going on for 3 days. It's just learning opportunities. I mean, there's business classes, managers classes, finance classes. There's training breakouts and stuff like that. And Heather, the director, she like literally, if she seen me not in something, she'd like push me into a class, push me into this, push me into that. It was cool. So I got to see a lot of things that I didn't know they actually did. Like I sat in the finance thing, and they're like, okay, if you want to make this much money per call or per hour, you have to pay your tech this much money, and you have to charge this much money an hour to your customer, and that's going to cover this much money in overhead for vans, office, and stuff. And I was like, I make way more than that, and we don't charge that an hour. I was like, I'm a burden on my company, man. It made me feel bad. And I was talking to my boss about it. He's like, no, he's like, you're not a burden. He's like, you have no callbacks. You get stuck with all the crap work. He said, you're fine. I was like, all right. So it came around to the last day, and they have a big dinner the last night there, and they give the awards out. So I was sitting there at the table. I was sitting with my the guy that runs my company and some other people, and we're hanging out. We've been hanging out all week in Nashville. Went to the Country Music Hall of Fame. We went down to Broadway, had a good old time. Just like all the other conferences, parties, manufacturers throw parties, and you go to. So it was a blast. And that last night, they got the award ceremony, and Dan Reese is their trainer. So he's director of training, but he does a lot of the training. He just doesn't do refrigeration. He did hot side, but he never learned refrigeration. So that's how people like me get involved. They find someone to bring them in to teach the class. So he was up there, and he's like, the first word of the night is outstanding technician. He's like, this guy, he does it all. He does cooking. He does refrigeration. He does dish machines. He does the installs. He does everything. Like, and he's our latest refrigeration trainer. And I was like, holy crap, that's me. And he said my name, and dude, my boss like stood up and was like, he's like, I nominated you for that. It's the whole reason you're here, dude. And I was like, I was literally in tears, dude, walking up there. I got so choked up that I couldn't even give the speech to save my life. I like choked out like 3 or 4 sentences. I thanked my boss. I thanked everybody for the opportunity. Thanks to Fessa. And then I just walked back to my table and was like, this is a whirlwind. Like, people were stopping me on the way back to get pictures. It was a crazy experience, man. I never thought that was going to happen. I never thought it was a possibility. I mean, I like what I do, and I know I'm good at what I do, but I don't have that ego like I'm the best there is. That's not going to be me. I'm always going to try to be better. And for me to win that and the social media thing, the social content thing for HVAC Tactical Awards, I mean, it's the same thing. It's like I didn't know how I won that. I don't know. I mean, I always tell everybody like, "Oh, what do you do? What do you do?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just a tech." They're like, "No, you're more than a tech. You don't know it, but you're more than a technician." I'm like, "Oh, I guess whatever you guys say."
Well, that's awesome, man. So you're a multiple award winner this year.
Yeah, that's what I
Um,
said. I can't go anywhere else because I won 2 awards, so I'm like, I'm out for my life.
um, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, the whole Cefesa thing, like my dad did that because he does the hot food side, so
Hmm.
he knows more about that than I do. But
Yeah, it's just
that's awesome.
it's a pretty cool organization. It's just like some guys got together and like we got to set standards for this career and testing procedures stuff like that. But it's kind of grown into more. But it's a pretty cool organization.
Yeah, just work HVAC. I don't have a Cefesa. I'm sure Pat does, and he's like, "What do you think about it?" I mean,
Uh,
it's just like like you said, industry standards and
hmm
keeping that quality up there.
Yeah, it's just it sets the standards. I mean, they work with manufacturers, they work with sales reps, they work with repair companies. It's just to make sure everyone's kind of on the same page as far as what to do. I mean, there's the same companies. I think is it Nate that does maybe HVAC. I'm not sure. I've never done anything with it, but there's every trade has their own little sanctioning body thing. So
Is a Cefesa, is that ever like a requirement or anything? I've never asked my dad too much about that kind of stuff.
no, it's not a requirement. It's just to prove that you have the skill set. So how it works is they actually have classes. They do several classes throughout the year. They do like a new tech training. So say if you were a Sylvester company or anybody else and you had a guy came in and he really has no experience, he doesn't know how to use like a meter and stuff. You can send him that new tech training class, but they're going to familiarize him with tools, basic electrical safety, and that kind of stuff. And then like my son's getting ready to go down in a couple of weeks to a EGSW, which stands for electric, steam, gas, and water. And it's 6 days of just breaking down those four things and how to test and diagnose. Excuse me. So, and then they have management classes and they do basic refrigeration classes, what I teach. But they also they offer a course. That's not really a course. The book you can read, and then you can take a test on it and say
Hmm.
it's electric, gas, steam, and no, it's electric, gas, steam, and refrigeration. And you just read the book, study, and then you take the test, and you're certified for. Just proves that you know the basic skills required to safely work on those things. So
Yeah, good to know. And he followed up with he doesn't have it, but sometimes a equipment manufacturer asks for it.
yeah, so they a lot of manufacturers is curious to make sure you pretty much know the basics and stuff is why they want to know it.
Yeah. And then I had seen another comment. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
Jen was like, Nate. Yeah, I actually bought my books for the Nate certification. I never did it. I'm a licensed contractor. I kind of just, stuck with that. But she says it's free on SkillCat. So
Hmm.
if you want to get your Nate,
What's funny is I'm a field piece ambassador, which isn't what you think it'd mean. It means you teach for field piece. So like
okay.
they send you all their tools and like you'll go to like a supply house and you'll teach how to use their meters, their job link probes, their recovery machine, their vacuum machines. And it's a NATE certification classes to help you keep your NATE certification. But I'm not even a NATE certified.
Oh,
I've
really?
never taken one class, so it's kind of funny.
Man, like I said, I bought the books and everything, and I'm like, do I really need it? Like, not, it's not really a necessity. So,
No, it's not a you have to have it type of deal. It just helps you like if your company is a successful company, it gets you better rates for like pay rates through manufacturer warranty sometimes.
yeah, I think I've seen like one or two companies around here that might have it. So,
Where you at?
South Texas. So,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
basically by the border down here.
So we're in I think I know we're in Dallas and maybe Houston. So
Oh,
my
okay.
company is. I'm sure we have other companies in your area that are part of our company. Um, Seeing Jennifer mention Skill Cat, I'll be nice.
So you do, so if you do training for field piece, was that through work or is that something else that you got? How'd you get that
No.
one?
So last year at AHR in Vegas, like they had a thing out. So do you want to be a field piece ambassador? And it didn't say what it was.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh, sure, I'll try to, show their stuff online, and it ends
Yeah.
up being it's more of a training thing. So they actually they pay you so much per class, and you get like all the latest field piece tools. You get to use them as long as when you go to class they're in working condition and not beat up. So um, everybody makes fun of me because most of our guys have junk vacuum pumps and reclaimers that were from the 80s. They're like 200 pounds. You know what I mean? Big huge
Yeah.
boxes. They barely fit underneath the shelf of your van. I mean, and I got a brand new field piece, VPX7. I got the recovery machine, the wireless, the Bluetooth scale, and I had meters already, field piece meters and JobLink Pros, but I got the latest meter, the
Mhm.
JobLink probes, manometers, and everything. So all my guys at work just dog me out. But I'm like, it is what it is.
So is that something you still do then?
Yeah, I teach 2 weeks from tomorrow. I teach 2 classes. I'll teach one in Indianapolis and one in Fort Wayne, and then a month later I'll go same thing. I'll teach one in Indianapolis and one in Fort Wayne. So I just take a day off from work.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
I get paid per class. If you do more classes, you make more money. It's just based on need in the area. Um, so it really has been kind of dead. I had one set up last year. I was going to use my facility, my office. Um,
Mhm.
and my office, we've got a training facility and a training room, and we got full hood and hookups. And I was just going to do it in there, and no one showed up. And I was like, "Do I still get paid?" And they're like, "Well, we'll still pay you, because we put it out there. No one showed up, but I never even filled out the information, so they pay me." So this has technically been my first round. It's been kind of slow
Mm.
going, but I think they're trying to push it again.
That's a sweet deal, though.
Oh yeah,
I was just curious because I've seen you talk about it a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, you trained for that too," So that's a cool thing.
yeah. It's just a little extra. I'm trying to be more involved with field piece, but they're kind of hard to work with.
Well, I kind of know a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I've been emailing probably the same way you have. So
do you deal with anybody at Philpies, or is it like a marketing team or
it's the
something?
marketing. It's like a
Okay.
Sheila.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
had another one. Yeah.
yeah. I've been emailing her. I did my media kit and I sent it, and she's like, "What are your prices?" I was like, "I don't even know what to charge."
Oh, that's another thing. We all need to figure that out too, because it's like they're asking us, and I'm like, I don't know either.
Yeah, I've seen some of the guys' stuff. I'm like, "Holy smokes, I can't charge that." And they're like, "Yeah, you can." I'm like, "Well, no one's gonna pay me that."
Yeah, I've asked a few guys too, and I'm like, You're up here. I'm like, down here." But
Yep.
so Efron wants to know what is the best and worst aspects of your current place of employment.
um, so I'll be honest, I've only worked for big giant conglomerates. I used to work for GCS, which was part of Ecolab at the time, became Smart Care, and then I currently work for General Parts. They don't have a problem with me saying that, which is a PT
Okay.
Holdings company. So that's the bad word for a lot of people. Partstown. Partstown. Partstown's two entities. There's Partstown, the parts side of it, and then there's Unlimited Service Group, which is General Parts, Whaley's. I mean, 3-wire service. There's like I can't remember how many companies it is. It covers the entire United States now on the service side. So, um, but I got it pretty good. I've busted my butt to get where I'm at. I've always been the guy that has done the installs, has done the overnight jobs, has taken out someone's on call when they're sick or hurt and they can't do it. And I mean, it's just like anywhere else. It depends on how much you put into it, is what you're going to get out of it. So, I mean, I'm pretty lucky. I get to do what I get to do. I mean, a lot of guys complain about working for the man or big brother or whatever they like to call it, but I don't have a problem with it, man. If you got a problem with GPS in your van or a camera, what are you trying to hide? That's what I always say. I mean, like, it's a work van, dude. I don't want to drive this thing for fun.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hear a lot of guys talk about the smaller family owned companies, and I don't have nothing against anybody, dude. There's enough work out there for everybody's in this field and
Of
two
course.
times over, probably. I mean,
Yep.
so everybody has a place. I mean, if you just get in somewhere where you fit in and it treats you right.
I say the same thing. People ask me that too, and I'm like, well, and I had the mentality when I started that everybody was a competitor, and
Mm-hmm.
it was like, cutthroat, but it's not. There's and that kind of stress, that puts stress on us. Well, being worried about it, I guess, that kind of stuff. But it's like, there's enough work for everybody. We've lost accounts before because of, whatever reasons they want someone cheaper or whatnot. Honestly, it's not a big deal. You can turn around and find work pretty quick. So it's the same with me.
Yeah, Jennifer, I posted something. I shared one of our sister companies, it's Pine Tree. It's up in her area, and she put laughy emoji. I was like, "Uh-oh, she had a bad story with them," but apparently, I don't think she does. So,
with which company?
Pine Tree. It's one of our sister companies. I posted they were looking for techs, and I always just share it all out. I mean, you never know where someone's going to need a job, so I just share it. And she put a laughy emoji. And
Okay.
I thought she was like, "Oh no, she had a bad experience with them." I was like, "Please no," but she never said anything about them. She said she loved them, so it works for me.
Well, she had quite an experience with Skillcat, but she still works with them, so she's forgiving.
Who's going to be their newest spokesperson?
Wasn't it that other girl?
The plumber that
Princess?
wasn't a plumber that went back to being a plumber and is now not a plumber again.
She was. I haven't checked on the. I don't even think I follow the account, but she was on there.
Yeah,
they actually reached
again.
out. They reached out to me, but I haven't heard back. So
yeah, she quit being a plumber again. Latest I seen, so I don't know.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Ryan, I would like to teach for Elitech, but I can't speak Chinese.
Oh,
Elitech. I went to their booth. I didn't go to their booth this year. I went to the booth in Vegas at AHR, and the guy was like so disinterested. Like he did not want to be there. We were talking, and he just started talking bad about the company, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Like I'm gonna go to the next booth."
Yeah, I tried talking to Klein at AHR, and the dude was like not interested in talking to me or whatsoever. I was like kind of rude about it. I was like, "Dude, I've been buying your tools." I mean, I was an electrician at 16, so I did electrical work from like 16 to 22, 23 before I started doing this. It's like I've been buying your tools since I was a kid, and I just trying to shoot the shit with him, and he just like, "Oh, okay, whatever. See you later, man."
They like Dave and they like Mike Mayberry.
And they like a couple of girls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's see.
She said no new one. She's gone. Yeah, I figured
she
she'd
is.
be gone.
Yeah. Financial difficulties. All right, man. So let me see.
Anyone got it in with Pittsburgh? No. My friend, he does powder coating, and like he started off with like all Harbor Freight stuff, which is Pittsburgh stuff. Yeah. And like Harbor Freight started following him and like replying on his videos and stuff on TikTok. And I'm just like dying. I'm like, hey, man, whatever you can do.
I still got some Pittsburgh tools that I'm waiting for them to break, and it never freaking broke. So I'm still using them. So they're in one of my bags. I was like, when they break, I'll buy Klein's. But
I tell my son this because he's new to the trade, and I was like, I buy that if it's something I'm going to use like one or two times. I was like, I'll buy that. And when I was younger, I bought it all the time because I couldn't afford, anymore. But I was like, if you can afford to buy the better name brand or something, do it with a better warranty. I said, but honestly, I said, those tools work. I said, you got to wash the wrenches and stuff like that, and like if you're going to don't use their adjustables because, a good quality adjustable wrench, when you bite down, it locks in a little bit. It puts resistance on there. I said, the wrenches are kind of loose. They don't have that tolerance, but he's learning.
Yeah, like myself too. I've bought them before, but I don't buy them now, or I try not to. Especially when I had my stuff stolen, I just like went down to Harbor Freight, grabbed the whole set, and went back to work.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm not knocking it. I don't do it unless I have to. Like unless I'm in a restaurant and I need a tool and I can drive 20 minutes to Supply House and get a different brand, and there's a Harbor Freight in the parking lot, I'm going to Harbor Freight in the parking lot, getting it done, and going on the next job.
Have your son tune into HVAC Visionaries. This is Pure on Parole.
Pure on Parole?
From
nice.
Yeah,
I followed him for a while, man. That's cool. Man, my son's not your normal 20-year-old. He's not like he doesn't care about social media. Like he's weird. He's just
oh really?
Yeah, like he's in some of my videos and stuff. So if you see in my videos, there's like a younger blonde-headed dude. That's my son. I call him my apprentice because he gets mad.
Oh, okay.
You're not supposed to tell people I'm your son. So when he first started, he was like, "Well, you're in that your uniform. You're not my dad." I was like, "Okay." So one day I was making my coffee. And he was working with me, and like I knew we had to leave at 6, get to the job by 7. It was like 5:55, and he wasn't up yet. And I had my uniform on. And I left, and like he got to the job like 7:30. He's like, "Why didn't you wake me up?" I was like, "I had my uniform on, dude. I'm not your dad." And he dropped that shit right then and there.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Uh,
I mean, I'm not gonna, take advantage of you being my son or anything like that. But it's like, I'm proud to see you out here 20 years old, making the money you make and learning the trade. So, someone asks, I say you're my son, don't take offense to it or, don't say that. I mean, it is what it is.
yeah, kids, Um, and funny you said you used to be an electrician then. So my dad also was an electrician. He moved into the kitchen space. That was kind of cool.
Yep. Yeah. Someone asked if I miss doing electrical work.
Yeah, I just
Um,
saw that.
yeah. So, yeah, I miss it, man. It was cool. It was fun. My problem is in high school, I took a vocational class, so we were doing stuff at the school. We built a habitat humanity house every year. We'd wire that, and then we do the maintenance at the school. We change ballasts in classrooms. I mean, I was literally changing ballasts in classrooms with kids in there, and I'd be blowing up declines, blowing up strippers and stuff. Working on 277-volt ballasts, and just kids in the room. You're shooting sparks everywhere, tripping breakers. It was a wild time. And I came out, and I went union for a while, and then I was unindentured. I hadn't started class yet, so I was considered unindentured. And then the market kind of just tanked. And when you're not in class, you're let go in a union. The unindentured go first, and then they go, people that have already completed school and up, and then they keep the guys in class working. And so I went non-union for like 5 years, and I got stuck doing apartments. I did a little bit of light commercial, and they didn't have a real big light commercial division. So I went to track homes, which is like your vinyl villages where like all your houses are exactly the same. So you do a house a day there. And then I got to apartments, and it was like we do apartment complexes, and I'd travel, and it was the same thing every day. And my brain does not tolerate that very well. So my dad had done HVAC, and then he ended up working for a smaller company, a family-owned company, and they did restaurant. And he got started doing that, and then they got bought out by Ecolab, and he didn't want to be a part of the big conglomerate world, so he got me his job, and he told him he retired. And he went to work for himself. So I worked there for 3 years, just doing hot side, and I wanted to do more, and ended up doing refrigeration too. And now there's no turning back. But no, I miss it. I see some of those guys on Instagram, doing stuff. I'm like, man, that's cool. And right now my biggest curiosity is like rack systems
Hmm.
and plumbers, dude. I'm like, the plumbers kill me because they have all these crazy tools.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I'm so jealous. Like, I was talking to Viking today. I was like, man, I want to be a plumber. I was like, you guys have all these crazy tools. I'm like, I got a couple cool tools. I got, an RLS press kit, and I've got, some nice field piece stuff. I was like, I don't have, strut cutters. I don't have presses. I don't have this. I don't have snakes. I don't have, you know, 4 different size augers. I'm like, this stuff's cool.
Yeah, I follow quite a bit of plumbers myself too, and I like watching the content they put out too.
Yeah, I don't know how those guys do it, man. They're pulling out clean outs and turds are shooting across the room, and it's like no big deal. It's like, oh, like,
I
man,
don't
how
know.
do you do that, dude? I'm like, I, I'm in these kitchens where they're cleaning grease traps, and it's bad enough. I can't imagine, you know, pulling a plug off a clean out and just poop coming out. I don't know, man.
Well, yeah, they had a couple of questions for you, but I think you answered them. How you got into commercial kitchen,
Mhm.
and yes, nasty HVAC. He does both hot and cold.
Yep, yep.
Do you find one harder than the other? Like if somebody's trying to learn, like the trade.
No, I don't find anything harder. It's just everything has a different degree of difficulty nowadays. When
Mhm.
I first started, like nothing was like it was now. Everything's touchpads now, like ovens, fryers, toasters even have touchscreens on them. So it's just
Which blew me away because like I started seeing my dad, putting in all those computers and different
Mhm.
pads and all that. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't know they had this.
Yeah. So it's amazing how much they've changed the last 17 years. But I mean, as long as you can figure out how something turns on and then follow through a sequence of operations, you can get it all. I mean, it takes a little bit to figure out some of this stuff just because, some of these ovens, these combi ovens have, they'll have 208 three-phase coming in. They'll have a transformer that knocks up to 240 for a blower motor. because everything's European, so it's a single phase blower motor. They run through a frequency drive and create 3-phase, and then they'll have like a 24 volt AC, a 12 volt DC circuit, a 5 volt DC circuit. Just like being able to understand schematics are a huge plus. But some of the newer combis are probably the hardest things I work on, just because it's so many wires, so many different voltages, and then you open up the schematic and it's like a page, and it's like 40 pages, and it's like a grid, and like you look over here, it says check this page, and it says like A3 is where it goes, and like you go to that page, and like you look over, okay, A, you scroll down to 3, and there it is. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Dang. Let me see.
Jennifer's not chasing any turds.
Hey, I mean, like I said, I like watching the work that they do, but I probably wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be the guy
because we gotta deal with grease, and I can't even deal with that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I put out some videos and some stuff that I was waiting for someone to tell me to take down. So that's the hard thing about these kitchens. Like, you don't want to show where you're at.
Oh yeah,
and there's branding everywhere, like on doors, on drawers. I mean, drawer for cooler is like a logo for where you're at. I'm like, this is stupid. I can't show a lot of this stuff.
That's what. Yeah, even on mine, sometimes on the model number, it's because it's specifically to them or something. The model number
they have a prefix.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got fryers that have a BW. I'm like, oh, well, everyone knows where this is at.
Oh yeah. But yeah, we actually, I don't work in the kitchen as much as I used to, because they have a lot of like, I do a lot of like pizza prep coolers, like the make lines, stuff like that, where it's like mostly like flour that I have an issue with on the condensers. But I used to work like in the Denny's and the IHOPs, and it's all fried food. It's all fryers next to the coolers, and that grease will travel up and everywhere.
Yeah, I had a branch, a brand. It was a sub, it was a Philadelphia or Pittsburgh brand restaurant, and they were making their way out west, and they had big giant hoods, and they put these two door stacked upright freezers underneath the hoods right next to the fryers, and the condensing units were on top. And they're like, this thing was like 6 months old, and I had to cut the condensing coil out and like soak it in a container of degreaser to get the grease out. I was like, why? This is under warranty. I'm like, no, this isn't under warranty. I'm like, it's not made to be installed under a hood next to fryers. For love of God, no.
Yeah, Jay's like, restaurants smell good until you have to roll around in the equipment. You'll get a funky smell if you're in there rolling around.
The coolers, man, that cooler funk. I don't know what that is, dude.
Yeah.
Like, produce coolers, you get that on you and it doesn't go away. You're like, it's like, it wasn't even dirty. It's like, what is this smell, and why is it stuck in my nose?
And I hate when the drains get clogged up, and you take off the panel to, the fan motor and all that, and you find all the food that's been dropped behind.
Yeah, so a lot of guys are guilty about blowing those from the outside in. And I'm like, and I always tell my guys, I'm like, don't do that. It's just going to reclog. You're blowing your problem back into the drain pan. It's going to run right back into your drain line and clog again. Like, suck it out or clean it out. One or two.
Yeah, I've never seen the logic behind that. I have to go in there and take it out, and then you'll find everything else that'll potentially clog it. All the, like I said, the food that gets in there.
Yeah, if it's clogged, I try to blow it from the inside out, or I'll take a shot back, and I got those Milwaukee attachments, got all the different size hoses. Yeah. I'll just suck it out with that. If it's a single evaporator, I'll just suck it out with that.
So I had Jason Norman, who's HVAC J over on Instagram. I'm sure you know him.
Oh yeah.
He wanted to ask a couple of questions. So he wants to know what's your least. I swear it's not anything bad. What's your favorite, or what's your least favorite type of service call, install, or job? Well, like, what's something you don't like doing?
Garbage disposals.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Because like, they know you're coming, and they continue to spray food into those things. It's clogged. Like, we did one yesterday, me and my son. It was his first one he had to swap out, dude. And I was like, nope, it's on you. He's like, well, it's full of food. I was like, tell them to clean it out. He's like, I'm not going to tell them to clean it out. I was like, get you some gloves and dig it out, dude. I was like, that's your choice. Either you tell them to clean it out, or you get some gloves and clean it out, or you get a shop vac and you suck it out. I mean, you got 3 choices here. He went and got some gloves and cleaned it out, and then when he pulled it out, it fell over, and like all the rest of the stuff slop coming out of it. He was like, "This is disgusting." I was like, "Yeah, I tried giving this call to someone else, and she wouldn't listen to me. That's why you get stuck with it." But yeah, garbage disposals. If you have to replace them, they're just nasty because by the time you replace it, it's like a week later because you go there. No one carries garbage disposal on their truck, and it's not like you can go to Home Depot and get a 2 horsepower incinerator.
Yeah.
So you order it, and like a week later you come back, and they continue to spray water down this thing. The food's just in there rotten, so it's definitely garbage disposals.
I've never worked on one, but I've seen them changed out plenty of times.
They're heavy, they're awkward, they're just a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I have a younger brother who works with us, and he's the helper, so he does that with my dad. I just stick to refrigeration. But he also wanted to know then what's your favorite, kind of call or job, stuff to work on.
I don't have a favorite type. It's gonna make me sound kind of like an ego, but I like to go on the calls that someone else has been on and couldn't figure it out or struggled with, and then I go there. A lot of times they'll give me parts. Hey, this guy ordered this, but we want you to go check it out. So
Yeah.
so instead of just going straight there and hanging the parts, I leave the parts on the truck, take my tool bag in, and start over from the beginning. And then, the satisfaction of actually figuring out what's wrong with it versus what someone else said, or maybe they were right or maybe they were close. I like that aspect of the job. I like, you go into a restaurant and sometimes these places can't open up because they get a critical piece down, and you go in there and you fix it, and you're the hero. And that's what I really like is the challenge, of doing something that someone else couldn't do. I mean, I've seen some of your videos here lately. You get called in for a second opinion, or you're following some guys around and you figure it out. It's like, you're like, yes, I'm good. I like my job. And
Yeah.
it kind of validates, the things you've done. And it helps that ego a little bit.
Yeah. And I think, like I got a lot of messages that were like, "Oh yes, I love that feeling. That's when you've made it, or this and that." And I've had other guys that tell me, that they're one of their favorite parts of the whole HVAC because they do a lot of like residential, the ones that I've talked to. That satisfaction and that rewarding feeling is like one of the best things in our trade. So for them, it would be like getting a family back on cooling. If their AC's down, being that superhero, so to speak, in the HVAC trade.
Yep.
Or kitchen side or whatever trade you're in,
we're part of HVAC. We're just our little different spinoff. I mean, I always tell everybody, I started this because I was on Instagram. I was watching all these guys, these huge accounts, these HVAC guys, electricians, plumbers. I was like, man, I do all this stuff in one job. It started out jealousy, and it's kind of like morphed into more, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to ask you about. So you started your podcast, was it last year? Or how long have you been doing
out like the podcast has been started for a year and a week, just like today.
Okay.
So I wasn't very consistent in the beginning. I put out a couple here or there, and my goal this year is to pump one every week. Consistency is the key to anything.
Sure.
So I'm just trying to get consistent. So I've got some things in the works. So sponsor stuff's coming on board. It's kind of cool. Yeah, just consistency. So I'm always looking for guests. I did an interview earlier today. Some I'll save for when I don't have an interview, or I'm on vacation, or I'm gone teaching. So I have a little bit in the bank. So I'm trying to work on that kind of stuff. But it's been a fun journey.
Oh, I know. Like I almost missed my last week one because I was working like super late out of town, and I was like, oh, I made it like 5 minutes before the stream started, and we got it done. So
yeah.
So that's cool. Like you've started it last year. What made you start a podcast? Because I feel like I've talked to a few people that have started, and I feel like it's not in their nature to do a podcast, and I feel like you're the same way.
Yeah, you're like me. You show yourself on social media, you talk on social media, but in real life, you're like, this isn't me. I'm not this kind of person. I'm kind of like, you try to be more outgoing, but like in real life, I'm like, I'm over here. I talk to the customer when I need to talk to the customer. I'm polite, I'm professional with the customer. I explain it to them, but most of the time, just leave me the hell
alone. I totally get you. So why did you start the podcast then?
like I said, I listened to a lot of podcasts. I was listening to Gil, Tool Pros, Make
Sure.
Trades Great Again, and no one did what I did. No one talked
Okay.
about my side of it, and just it's the same thing on my Instagram. Just one day, I was like, oh, I made a post on Facebook. I was like, oh, I'm gonna start a podcast talking about the commercial kitchen, and it was just my ADHD talking. And a couple of days later, I was on to something else, not worried about it. And then a couple weeks later, I was in my office, and the president of my company at the time, he's based out of Indianapolis, and I walked by. He's like, "Hey, Pat, I want to talk to you." And I was like, "Man, I screwed up." He's like, "No, no, you didn't do anything wrong." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "It's about your podcast." I was like, "Oh, he's gonna tell me I can't do it." All right, I got it out. And he's like, "No, we want you to do it. We're gonna support you." And I was like, "Oh, no, I gotta do it." So it was just like a whim thing, just like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this," and then it's kind of just morphed into more. I'm really glad I've done it because I've met so many cool people because of it, and I continue to meet cool people, build relationships with other tradesmen, manufacturers, reps, everybody. It's been crazy, and I'm it's called Commercial Kitchen Chronicles, but I'll have any trade on. I mean, like last week or the week before, I had my friend on. He's a fiber optic guy, so he installs and splices fiber optic cables for data, and like
Hmm.
it was like one of the coolest conversations I ever had because I see these guys do this. I'm like, but I don't know how it works, and like he explained how it worked. I'm like, this is kind of cool. So I'm open to have any trade on there, but my main thing is I work in the kitchen, so I'm gonna try to focus on that a little bit.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, the whole podcast thing. I think it's a cool thing. Like you said, basically across all your platforms, you didn't see anybody doing,
Hmm.
the kitchen stuff, and you started that. And
Yep.
then I saw, was it last week when you had Rich on?
Yeah. So yep, I had a Rich. He's
So
I started
yeah,
following. Have you?
yeah, I saw him on yours, and then I went to go follow him right away, and he's starting to put out content too.
Dude, so he's been on LinkedIn for a while. He works for a sister company of ours. Um he's been on LinkedIn for a while, and I found him there, and he was like showing videos doing repairs and stuff. And I was like, cool. I liked what he was doing. He's got a real positive outlook. He's all about taking care of the customer. He's about integrity. He takes pride in his work. So a lot of things I focus on um, is the pride and integrity of the job. If you have pride and you do the right thing, the rest comes, man. It's real easy. See, he's blushing. The rest comes real easy. You'll if you have pride, you want to show your work and integrity, dude. You can go places, man. So I followed him for a while, and he was posting some stuff, and I reached out to him. I was like, "Look, I was like, I like what you're doing." I was like, "But if you're going to show you doing a repair, make sure you have your gloves on. If you're doing a crane lift, make sure you got a hard hat on." I was like, "I don't want to see you get shut down because what happens in companies like ours, they're not going to shut him down. They're going to shut everybody down." So I was like, I kind of just warned him as like, "Hey, I don't want to get shut down. I don't see you get shut down. So like, be a little careful." And like, we just started talking, and then like, I loved what he was doing. I was like, "Dude, I gotta have you on." I was like, "You're my long lost brother, dude." I was like, just because the way he does things and he takes pride in his stuff. So it worked out pretty good, pretty good. And he just started. He was talking about starting YouTube, so he started YouTube, Instagram. He's gonna start a Facebook page, all under the same name, but he's just another guy in the kitchen that just loves what he does and takes pride in taking care of his customers.
So for you guys listening or watching this later, that's Rich in Kitchens. If you want to check him out, like the same thing with you, Pat. When I had found you and saw you, like my dad does that side, and I like
Hmm.
I like that side of the work. I mean, I'm not doing it, but
Hmm.
I was pretty excited to see you putting out content for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And now we got Rich in Kitchens doing it too.
I'm gonna
That's
try
awesome.
to start focusing a little more on it, showing like more of my repairs and stuff. Um, it got we were super busy and I didn't really have a time. I'd start to record like the beginning in troubleshooting, and then like next thing you know I fixed it and I didn't record like 2/3 everything. I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
That's the hard thing to try to remember to record. So I'm gonna try the HVACR survival thing. I've got the neck GoPro thing. I'm just gonna try to
Mm.
like record a whole service call and see what happens.
Yeah, I've
Because
been
that's how he
debating on
does it.
I've been debating on doing something like that too, because it's true. Like you get to a call and sometimes you don't feel like recording or anything, and
Mhm.
you would just want to finish the call and you don't get to record, and you're like, man, that would have made a good video.
Yeah, I've got all kinds of like magnetic mounts, clamp on mounts. And a lot of times I'll just clamp it on and I'll just work and just show me doing some stuff. And
Hmm.
I've got pretty good feedback. I'm kind of leery about like showing full repairs. I mean, it's not that I don't think it's gonna people are gonna do it. I just don't want the end user to do it. I mean, people are going to
Sure.
figure out how to do the job eventually. But I don't want
Sure.
to I don't want a restaurant owner or somebody to do the job and get hurt and be like, well, he did it this way.
Yeah, that's something I pointed out in one of my videos recently. I was like, they probably it like whether it's on the video or in person, they probably see what you're doing. Because I've been to a couple of calls where I'm just cleaning a coil like on a small reaching cooler, and it's like, oh, that's all it was. And then
Mm-hmm.
like they try to do it, so they try to do it on a cooler that I got called out to, but then they called me. I guess it maybe it got them by for a few days or something, just brushing off the surface area, but it was like clogged like in between the fins,
Mm-hmm.
and that compressor just got it killed. They killed it. So I was like, you told me a month ago that it was not temping properly. If you would have just called me a month or month and a half ago, whatever it was, instead of trying to clean it or brush it off, and then like, oh, it kind of works, we're not going to call it in. They could have saved the compressor probably,
Yeah,
but
I've got I've got a grocery store chain. They've got a blast chiller in their deli. They'll fry chicken and they blast chill it and sell it. It's cold chicken. And someone told them they could use a certain chemical on their coils and their blast chillers. And everyone I go to, when it's not running, I turn it on. You can hear it bounce off low pressure control. First thing I do is I open the cover and I just run my hand across the coil, and like it's like paper and just like all disintegrates. I'm like, "Yep, this is your estimate. You guys aren't
yeah,
going to fix it. Buy a new one."
yeah, that's the thing. When you post online, it's like you got to be careful about the DIY people, but
Yeah,
it is what it is.
they're going to find it somewhere. I mean, you might as well get the views, I guess.
I try not to, but
Yeah.
the same thing with me. Like, and I've told people before, you just be careful when you record. If you are going to get into the content creator space, be like you said, brand name. I feel like it's everywhere. It's on the
Hmm.
floor. It's on the everywhere. Like, um,
I can guess
y-
restaurants by the floor tile.
that. Well, I've had people try that with me, and it's like, oh, you're at McDonald's. I'm like, no, like it's another similar one, but it's not that one.
Yeah,
But
you get pretty close by the floor tile in a lot of
yeah,
places. um, yeah, so if you're going to do it, like make sure there's nothing in there that's showing where you're at. And like colors, like I've got a certain customer that has yellow and black. Yellow and black is their colors for all their stuff, and I mean, I don't show anything yellow if I'm there, especially if I'm showing something dirty or nasty. I make sure there's nothing yellow because I mean, it's amazing that people actually see our content. You would think that people
oh
don't,
yeah.
and then like people are like, oh, we seen that. I'm like, oh crap. So
It's weird, but yeah, that happens. That's happened to me. I haven't had any customer tell me, but like a lot of the local techs here have seen my stuff. Some other restaurants I've seen commenting on my stuff, which I haven't worked at those restaurants, but it's I'm like, well, this one is watching. The one I'm working at might be watching too. So,
yeah, you should be careful.
uh,
You don't want to put anybody on blast. I mean, restaurants can be clean and they can be dirty, and just because one restaurant in the chain is dirty doesn't mean they're all dirty. Um,
sure.
it's a weird environment. I've been to one place on one side of town that's immaculate. You go to the same place, same owner, or this
Oh
corporate
yeah,
store, 5 miles away, and it's like a complete shit show. I'm just like, how? You guys are 5 miles apart, and how is there so much difference between the two?
definitely. So like I had was it last week? I had a stress in HVAC type of podcast last week.
Hmm.
Is there anything that you do to stay sane? What do you do like to relax or unwind from a hard day of work?
Um, bury myself in more habits. I'm the worst person when it comes to that kind of stuff. Um, my coping mechanism has always been to bury myself in more work, and I've learned here recently that that's not the answer. So, um, currently, when I come from work, I'll smoke a cigar to relax. I was drinking bourbon, but I got to where I wanted it too much, so I quit doing that. So, I got an addictive personality. So when I know that I want something, like I feel the urge, I have to do it. I just stop doing it. So I'll go through phases where I don't smoke a cigar. But currently, I work out in the mornings before I go to work.
Okay.
So say I got to get up at 5 to leave by 6. I know that okay, I'm gonna set my alarm at 4. I get up and do everything I need to do by 5, and I go out into my barn and I've got a full weight set out there. a rack and everything, and I'll work out for 45 minutes to an hour, and then I go about my business. So that's what I currently been doing. But I mean, I just try to hang out with family and just chill, pretty much. But I mean, I don't. I should be doing more. I feel I probably should talk to somebody about some of the stuff I do and hold in. But
Yeah, I feel like a lot of us need that little therapy. But working out is a good little
hmm
outlet. Like I'm into sports, so I've always been into like working out or
hmm
playing basketball. Stuff like that helps. And then I think a lot of people give the same answer about spending time with family because that's important.
yeah, that helps a lot. I mean, um, I work a lot of hours, but I always made sure that I tried to get my kids' sporting events or their school stuff. My son was a tremendous football player, held records and stuff for running back and stuff. A little bit of school, and he led the county in rushing. Some big schools and stuff. Um, a little story about this is he uh, he broke his leg in 8th grade. The game got changed, and I was at work. They generally played second game, and they got moved to the first game. So I was at work, and I was coming home to get my wife to go watch this game, and we found out they changed the score. They changed its time. Well, he broke his leg, and he sat on the field for 2 hours, not 2 hours, for a half hour with a broken leg, waiting on the ambulance to come because it broke his lower leg in both places of the growth plate. So when he went to high school, I promised him I'd never miss a game again. I didn't want to have him do that again because he was just on the field by himself. I mean, luckily he had some friends' moms that were there and they were helping out. But
Yeah.
just to think about your kid laying there for a half hour before an ambulance can even get there, taken to the hospital, I was heartbroken. So when he got to high school, I told my work, I said, "Look, every Friday I will be home by 4:30." I
Hmm.
said, "I'll come in early. If I can start at 3 in the morning, I will come in, whatever I got to do it." So I never told him why. I just told him I wanted to go to his games. But um, I ended up telling them, the reason why I do this, and they're like, because my dispatcher tried to like throw it in my face. Well, we let you go home every Friday for a game at this.
Hmm.
I was like, no. I was like, you don't know why. She's like, what do you mean? And I told her why. I said, I promised my son I'd never miss another game because I didn't want to see that ever happen again. And but yeah, you got to be there for your kids, man.
Yeah, that's super important, and that's something like we do too. Like we accommodate that. We run a business, but I try to be there for all my kids' stuff. If one of our guys needs to take time off for that, we allow it. It's super
Yeah,
important.
companies are getting better about it. They're starting to realize there needs to be more of a work life balance. But like I said, if I gotta do something with my family, I'll come in earlier to make sure I still do a full day's work. Though, I mean,
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not trying to make the company suffer. I mean, I'll do what I can to help them out. So
Yeah.
it's a
Even
2-way
myself.
street. I think
Yeah.
if you
Even
go ahead.
myself. If I take off a day and during a week or something for my kid, then I'll volunteer. To make it up on the weekend or things like that.
Yep. I mean, it's a 2-way street. So if you show your employer you're willing to help out so they can help you out, they're more than willing to accommodate that in the future.
Sure. Do you got any tips, advice for any guys, getting in the field?
Um, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to learn, man. Um, find someone that you can mentor. I mean, they can mentor you, and they can help you out. When I first started, my dad did this, and he worked with a lot of guys that I ended up working with just because I went to work for that company. So I had some guys that had my back to help me out a lot. But don't be afraid to find someone that you can use as a mentor that you trust and you can build a relationship with, and you'll be amazed at what you can actually do.
Great advice. I think that's a big thing. If you can find someone that helps you out, especially in the beginning, that
hmm
goes a long way. And like you said, you know, just always, I always say too, like always keep learning after work.
hmm Oh yeah.
Bear it. Make sure you read all the manuals, do all that kind of stuff. Better yourself every day, and you'll be good.
Yep. For sure. I always try to learn. I always tell people I don't know everything. I'm just really good at finding out the information somewhere online.
Oh yeah, like it'll drive me nuts if I can't fix it. So I'm gonna be looking everywhere for it.
Yep. Rich brings up a good point. The seasoned guys need to be willing to pour into the new guys. Yeah. A lot of the older guys think that that's their information. They take it to the grave, and that those days need to go away. Um, share the information. There's gonna be more work in the next 10 years than we're gonna know what to do with.
Yeah, like here we're expanding so much. There's apartments, houses going up. A lot of restaurants are coming down. Like it's everywhere. They're building stuff. So
I talked to someone today. He said for every 5 guys aging out, there's only 1 guy coming into our industry. And he said in the next 10 years, our industry is going to be down like 35% of techs. So
yeah,
if you want a job where you're going to learn and you're going to make good money, get in now. In 10 years, you're going to be making a fortune, man.
yeah. Can't say it enough. The techs are super valuable, and we need them. All right, man. I don't want to keep you too long. If guys want to look for you on social media, you got you. I know you got YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. What else do you have?
Facebook,
Oh, you got everything, right?
LinkedIn, Trade Hounds, the HVAC Know It All app. I'm everywhere. So just look for Commercial Kitchen Chronicles on everywhere. Instagram's commercial_kitchen_chronicles. But if you Google that, it pops up everywhere. Podcasts are generally recorded on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock. Me and my little buddy Dusty comes on. We I like having him on there because he's newer to the industry. I'm 17 years in. He's a couple years in. So he sees things from a totally different perspective as me. So his questions are not the same as my questions. My questions are a lot of times, pretty in depth or pretty, I think, or, a new guy wouldn't understand. He asks the new guy side of it. So it's kind of cool. But we record Thursday nights, streamed on several places. And then we generally upload the audio Friday mornings.
That sounds awesome. I like that concept where, like you said, where you have Dusty asking a different perspective on things. So that's cool.
I tried to do it myself and I couldn't do it, man. I didn't stream it. I'd record it. I'd record for like 5 hours and have like 15 minutes of audio, and I'd just be so mad.
Oh man. All right, man. Well, yeah, you can find him Commercial Kitchen Chronicles anywhere on social media, basically. Go ahead and look for the podcast. It's a good one. And appreciate everybody who joined. I don't think we have any other questions here. So, Pat, I will see you.
Thanks, man.
Let me get the outro. All right. See you guys.